Hey, good morning. So I want to talk about what seems good to the potter, specifically in the hands of the potter. So it's still in Jeremiah in the Old Testament today, and in chapter 18, it's probably really commonly known. It talks about being in the potter's house, being in the potter's hands, and God told Jeremiah to go to the potter's house, and he was going to speak to him while he's there. It says, "And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter, so he made it again another vessel as seemed good to the potter to make it." So what seems good to the potter? God was using Jeremiah to tell the people, to tell his people, Israel, that like, you've turned from me. You need to turn back to me. You need to get things right with me. You need to do good and better. Said the word came to him and it said, "O house of Israel, cannot I do with you as the potter? As this potter, saith the Lord, behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are you in my hand, O house of Israel." Then he goes on to tell him in an instant. So God can do things in an instant with his powerful hands, with his powerful word. We can't limit God in any of those areas, but he goes on to tell him, in an instant, if I speak concerning a nation or a kingdom, to pluck it up or pull it down or destroy it. So if I've pronounced judgment against a nation, and if that nation against whom I pronounce turn from their evil, I'll repent of the evil that I thought to do unto them. And then he goes on to say it again, in an instant, if I speak concerning a nation, doing good things to them, building them up and planting them, if they do evil in my sight, that it obey not my voice, then I will repent of the good wherewith I said I would benefit them. So this is what God's telling them. He's giving them these warnings. He says, "Return you now, everyone, from his evil way, and make your ways and your doings good." But of course they said, "But we will walk." They said, "There's no hope, but we will walk after our own devices, and we will, everyone, do the imagination of his evil heart." So what seems good to the potter? Because in an instant, right, in his hands, anything can happen, right? He gets to decide the choices and the consequences, the good and the bad, based on the things that we do, based on righteous judgment, because God's good. But it had me thinking about the hands of God this morning. A potter is very gentle with the clay. So God can be very gentle with us as his people, as he works on us. And it can be quick and instantaneously, or it can take a while, because he's smoothing that thing out. He's manipulating it so that it will be formed into the right image, the one that he desires it to be. But he also, even though he's gentle, he's also precise. And God has a firm hand. He's very firm with us because he wants to mold us precisely. He wants to mold us skillfully. He's going to mold us knowledgeably. That's who he is. He's the potter in this or illustration rather. He knows what is best. He knows what is needed. He knows what is good. He knows what he wants to use each and every vessel for. So he's working gently and skillfully and firmly and knowledgeably, right? And precisely on each and every one of us. And then I'm thinking about these other scriptures. And in Hebrews 10:31, it says, "It is a fearful thing to fall in the hands of living God." Okay. He's powerful. It can be fearful. And he's talking about vengeance right before that verse. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of a living God. His hands, again, while gentle, his character, while merciful, is also righteous and just. And so we have to be mindful of doing things the way that he wants, or at least allowing him to do them through us, right? So then I'm thinking about in John 10:29, where we see like the protective and loving hands of God. He says, "My Father which gave them me is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hands," because he's all powerful, right? And once we're there, we're his, and he gets to do with us what he will, right? We're his. We belong to him. We're the vessel, the clay, the vessel. He's the potter. And I'm thinking about Psalm 21:8. It says, "Thine hand shall find out all thine enemies. Thy right hand shall find out those that hate thee." God knows. He knows all intentions. He knows those who are against him. He knows those who are not. He knows those who are people after his own heart, right? Just like David was. God knows, and in his hands, right, he's going to work gently, skillfully, precisely, knowledgeably, firmly. And then I got to thinking also about the story where King Belshazzar saw a hand and fingers writing on the wall, and he called Daniel in, and Daniel had to tell him, like, "Hey, listen, your kingdom's come to an end. You know what your father did. You know that he was full of pride, and so are you, and you didn't turn. Again, there's an example of a kingdom, judgment being pronounced against it. You know, he said, you're found wanting, you're lacking. He said, and that night he ended up dying. He ended up being killed. But that all seemed very doom and gloom, actually, now that I think about it. But it's God's desire to form each and every one of his vessels, right? There are vessels unto honor and there are vessels unto dishonor, but in his hands, when we align with him, when we allow ourselves to just be in his hands and let him form and work and build up and tear down. Sometimes he has to start from, back from scratch, from a pile of clay. But if we let ourselves just be soft in his gentle hands and his firm hands and his precise, skillful, knowledgeable hands, he's going to build us up and he's going to do good. He's going to do what seems good. That was the whole point of this, is what seems good to the potter. He's going to do what seems good if we'll let him. All right. So be a willing vessel this morning. Be a willing pile of clay, rather. Be blessed.